Welcome to the Deep Dive, your direct path to being truly well-informed. Today we're doing something a little different. We're stepping back in time. Picture this. The bustling ancient city of Savasi, a powerful king, Pasenadi of Kosala, is having these regular chats, seeking counsel from an enlightened teacher.
Yeah, and this deep dive is all about those conversations. Really fascinating, candid interactions drawn from ancient texts, things like the Banhanavago, Aputtakavago, and Kasalavago.
Exactly, and they're not just dusty old scrolls. They give us these rare glimpses into how timeless ideas about, well, everything, human nature, power, wealth, suffering, how to live well, were actually discussed and used, in real life, in governing and personal choices.
Right. So our mission today is to pull out those key nuggets of wisdom from these dialogues, to help you understand what really matters for a good life, no matter who you are or what you do.
We might uncover some surprising things, some really deep insights into being human. So the scene is set. King Pasenadi, this powerful ruler, keeps visiting the teacher. Sometimes he needs clarity, sometimes he's just sharing things he's noticed at court. And apparently, right from the start, the king isn't holding back. He actually challenges the teacher, doesn't he? Questions his claim to supreme enlightenment.
He does. He basically points out, you're young. How can you claim this when other older, famous spiritual leaders don't? It's quite a direct question.
Yeah, really putting him on the spot. How does the teacher handle that?
Well, his response, it's in the Dharma Sutta, is really powerful. He tells the king there are 4 things you should never underestimate or disrespect, no matter how young or small they seem.
Okay, 4 things. What are they?
A nodal warrior, a ktiya, someone from the ruling class, a snake, an urago, fire agi, and a monk, a bhikkhu.
Interesting mix. Why those 4 specifically?
He breaks it down. That young warrior might grow up, gain power, and let's just say use royal punishment against you if you slighted him.
Okay, makes sense. Power can grow.
That small snake. Tiny? Maybe. But its venom can be lethal. You don't mess with it.
Right. Understood. Fire.
A tiny spark seems harmless. It can become a huge, destructive wildfire. We all know that.
True. And the monk?
Even a young monk, if virtuous, has a kind of spiritual power, disrespecting that. Well, the text suggests it could even harm the lineage of someone who acts unvirtuously towards them. It's about the power inherent in virtue itself.
Wow. So don't judge by appearances, basically.
Yeah.
Size or age isn't the measure.
Precisely. It's a great lesson about looking deeper.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What small things in our own lives, our work, maybe we're underestimating.
Exactly. And from there, the king's curiosity shifts. He starts asking about suffering. Where does it come from? Especially the kind that seems to bubble up from inside us.
Ah, the internal stuff. What does the teacher say about that?
This leads to a really core teaching found in the Purisa Sutta and echoed elsewhere. He points to 3 internal qualities as the roots of harm, suffering, discomfort: greed, or lobha, hatred, dosa, and delusion, moha.
Greed, hatred, delusion. The big 3.
Yes. And he uses this incredibly vivid simile. He says these qualities, born from within a person, wound him, like the fruit of the tava tree wounds the tree itself.
Oof. So we wound ourselves from the inside out.
That's the idea. Our deepest struggles often stem from our own minds.
That really hits home. And it links to something else, doesn't it? How hard it is to truly know another person's inner state. The king seemed impressed by some austere-looking ascetics at first.
Right, he was. But the teacher offers some nuanced advice on this in the Sattadela Sutta. He points out, look, it's hard for a regular person, a householder living with everyday pleasures, to really tell who's genuinely enlightened just by looking.
Yes, how do you tell?
Time and context are key. Real virtue, Sela, he says, you only know that through long association, not a quick meeting.
Okay, it takes time. What else?
Purity, Sosea, that becomes clear through dealings over time, how someone behaves in transactions and interactions.
Makes sense, like seeing how they handle things.
Strength or steadfastness, Tomo, you see that in adversity, when things get tough.
When the pressure's on.
And wisdom, Panya, that's revealed through conversation, talking, discussing, understanding how they think.
So it's all about observation over time in different situations, not just the surface.
Exactly. And he uses this amazing analogy. People who look perfect on the outside, bathed, perfumed, trimmed hair and beard, clean white clothes, but might be inwardly impure, like a clod of earth covered in gold.
Wow, a clod of earth covered in gold. That's blunt.
It is. It really forces you to question, judging books by covers. How often do we do that? How can we, look deeper in our own lives?
It definitely challenges you to slow down those judgments. Okay, moving from inner states to something very external yet deeply complex for the king. Wealth. What did the teacher observe about that?
Well, in texts like the Apakasutta and Athakarta Sutta, the teacher points out something quite stark. He says very few people who gain great wealth actually avoid becoming sort of intoxicated by it.
Intoxicated. How so?
Heedless, attached to sensual pleasures, sometimes even harming others to protect or increase their wealth. The king himself apparently saw wealthy people lying in court cases, specifically because they were so caught up in protecting their pleasures.
So wealth can be a trap.
It can be. The teacher compares people entangled in pleasures to deer caught in a snare or fish caught in a net. The outcome, he says, is painful.
You really see the parallels today, don't you? Wealth creating its own kind of blindness, its own ethical knots.
Absolutely. And these dialogues get even more specific with these stories about childless householders. They're quite cautionary tales.
Ah, yes, the rich merchants who died without heirs. Tell us about those.
Okay, so there are two main stories. The first one, from the Pahama Aputaka Sutta, is about a merchant with unbelievable wealth, like 80 million gold coins, let alone silver. But he lived like a complete miser.
Oh, miser.
Eating broken rice with sour gruel, wearing rough hempen garments, riding in a rickety cart, just incredibly stingy despite his fortune.
Wow, what's the point of having it then?
That's exactly the teacher's point. He calls such a person ignoble. Their wealth doesn't benefit them, their family, friends, anyone really. And eventually it just gets lost to kings, thieves, fire, water, maybe heirs they didn't even like.
So it's wasted potential.
Completely. He compares it to a beautiful, clear pond full of cool, sweet water, but it's out in the middle of nowhere, totally unused, so it just dries up. A wasted resource.
And the contrast
is the noble person who uses wealth well, benefits themselves, family, community, supports renunciance. Their wealth endures, creates good. Like a pond near a village, used and enjoyed by everyone.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the second merchant story? You said it was more complex.
Yes, the Dutiya Aputaka Sutta. This one's a real deep dive into karma. This merchant also had immense wealth, but again, couldn't really enjoy it. Same broken rice, coarse clothes.
Why? What was his story?
Okay, so apparently he once gave food to a special kind of enlightened being, a Pashaka Buddha. A good deed, right?
Seems like it.
But immediately after, he regretted it. He thought, oh, my slave should have eaten that instead.
Ouch. Regretting a good deed.
Exactly. Now, the good deed itself was powerful enough to bring him great wealth and status in multiple lives, but the regret, that poisoned his ability to actually enjoy the wealth. It lingered.
Wow, that's subtle.
And gets darker. Later in life, driven by greed, he actually killed his own nephew to inherit property.
Oh, no.
That act led to immense suffering in future lives, in hell realms. And even as a lingering effect, in his current life as this wealthy merchant, his fortune kept getting confiscated by the king. This was supposedly the 7th time it had happened.
So his past actions, both good and bad, and even his thoughts about them, were shaping his present reality.
Precisely. And the ultimate lesson from both stories.
Yeah.
Wealth, possessions, even people we love, we leave it all behind when we die. The only thing that follows us, the teacher says, is our actions, our karma. Good or bad, it follows like an unfailing shadow.
That's incredibly powerful. It really shifts the focus from accumulating stuff to, well, accumulating good actions.
Yeah.
What kind of legacy are you building?
Exactly. What follows you?
So if wealth and external things aren't true protection, what is? You mentioned the teaching delves into self-protection.
It does. In the Acharakata Sutta, the king straight up asks, who is protected? Who is unprotected?
The king's question, armies, walls.
Right. But the teacher flips it. He says all those external guards, elephant troops, cavalry, chariots, infantry, they can't truly protect someone who acts badly, someone whose actions of body, speech, or mind are harmful. That's just external protection. It's not the real deal.
So what is real protection?
It comes from within, wholesome conduct, good actions of body, speech, and mind. That's internal protection. And someone with that, the teacher says, is truly secure, even if they have zero external defenses.
That's a radical idea. True safety comes from how you behave.
It really shifts the perspective. What do we think makes us secure? Walls? Money? Or something deeper? Where does that core feeling of safety really come from?
It seems like so much of this wisdom points back inside, doesn't it? Which brings us to relationships, and maybe the most fundamental one, our relationship with ourselves, self-love. What insight did the teacher share there?
This one from the Malika Sutta is just profound. It starts with a very intimate chat between King Pasenadi and his wife, Queen Malika. They're talking honestly, and they both admit basically there's no one they hold dearer than themselves.
Wow, quite an admission between spouses.
It is very human, very real. And the teacher hears about this conversation. He doesn't judge it. Instead, he draws this universal ethical conclusion from it.
Okay, what's the conclusion?
He says, essentially, if you search everywhere with your mind, you won't find anyone dearer than yourself. Everyone feels this way. Therefore, since your own self is so dear to you and everyone else feels the same about their self, you should not harm another.
Whoa. So because I value myself so much, and I know you value yourself just as much, I shouldn't harm you.
Precisely. It's an ethical rule derived directly from that universal instinct of self-preservation and self-cherishing. It's a real aha moment. If you really get that connection, how does it change how you treat people?
It changes everything, potentially. That's remarkable. Okay, shifting gears a bit from the personal to the political. The king was a warrior king. He fought battles. What do the texts say about his conflicts?
Yeah. There are accounts of battles specifically between King Pasenadi and his nephew, actually King Ajatasattu of Magadha. The Pasenadi Sutta and Duthisagama Sutta cover this.
Nephew fighting uncle. Ouch. How did it go?
Well, in the first battle described, Ajatasattu actually defeats Pasenadi, and the teacher makes an interesting comment. He notes that Ajatasattu has bad friends and bad companions, while Pasenadi has good friends and good companions. He also says Pasenadi will sleep badly that night, miserable from the defeat.
Interesting link between companions and outcome. What about the second battle?
Round 2, Pasenadi wins. He captures Ajatasattu. But here's the key part. Even though Ajatasattu attacked him, Pasenadi recognizes him as family, as his nephew. So he takes away all his military power, confiscates the elephants, horses, chariots, infantry, but lets Ajatasattu go free, alive.
He shows mercy even after being attacked.
Yes, and the teacher draws a very direct karmic lesson from this cycle of conflict and resolution. He says, the plunderer is plundered, the killer gets killed, the conqueror gets conquered. Thus, by the turning of karma, the plunderer is plundered.
So actions have consequences that circle back. What goes around comes around, essentially.
Pretty much. It highlights the results of aggression, but also the wisdom in mercy, even when you've won. It makes you think about how our own interactions, good or bad, create ripples that eventually come back to us.
A very clear picture of cause and effect playing out on a large scale. Now, let's move from big battles to a really personal moment for the king, the birth of his daughter. How was that handled?
This is in the D2 Sutta. King Pasenadi hears that Queen Malika has given birth to a daughter, and he's clearly not pleased, disappointed, which sadly wasn't uncommon then.
Right, wanting a male heir was a big deal.
It was, but the teacher's response is, frankly, amazing for its time. He directly counters the king's disappointment and challenges those patriarchal norms.
What does he say?
He says, wait a minute, Your Majesty. A female might actually prove to be better than a male. She could be wise, virtuous, devoted to her in-laws, a loyal wife. And the son she bears, he might be a hero, a ruler of lands. A son from such a blessed wife could even rule the kingdom.
Wow, that's incredibly progressive. He's saying her potential and the potential she enables is huge.
Exactly. Look beyond gender, look at character, look at potential, recognize intrinsic worth. It's a powerful message.
It really is. Okay, so we've talked about power, wealth, relationships, but all rulers, all people, face one ultimate reality, aging and death. How do these dialogues tackle that?
They face it head on. Across several texts, Rajasutta, Ayakasutta, Pabatupama Sutta, the message is unwavering. There's no escape from old age and death.
No exceptions. Not for kings, not for the rich.
None. Not for the wealthiest people, not for the most powerful rulers, not even for perfectly enlightened monks or sages. Everyone born is subject to decay and death. The teacher uses an analogy. Even the most beautiful, decorated chariots eventually fall apart and decay. But, he contrasts, the Dharma of the good, the principles of virtue and wisdom that doesn't decay.
So physical things fade, but truth endures.
That's the essence. There's a really touching story in the Ayakasutta where the king is deeply grieving the death of his grandmother. She lived to be 120.
Wow, 120.
And the king says he would have given anything, priceless treasures, elephants, horses, even his whole kingdom, if it could have prevented her death.
Desperate grief.
Totally understandable. But the teacher gently reminds him, all beings are subject to death. He uses another simple analogy. All pottery, whether it's just Raw clay or perfectly fired is destined eventually to break. That's just its nature.
Simple, but starkly true.
But the most powerful image, I think, is in the Pabachupa Sutta. The king is talking about how busy he is, all his royal duties, the stress.
I can imagine.
And the teacher responds with this incredible image. He says, imagine 4 immense mountains, huge, reaching the sky, rolling in from all 4 directions, north, south, east, west, crushing everything in their path. Relentless.
That's terrifying. What do the mountains represent?
Aging and death, approaching everyone. Kings, priests, merchants, workers, everyone. There's no running, no hiding, no army elephants, cavalry, chariots, infantry can fight them off. No clever strategy, no amount of wealth can stop them. They just keep coming.
What can you do if they're unstoppable?
The only thing to do, the teacher says, the only meaningful response in the face of that inevitable approach is righteous conduct, peaceful conduct, wholesome deeds, meritorious deeds, living well, ethically, kindly.
That's a radical reprioritization, isn't it? If death is coming for everyone, the only thing that matters is how you live right now.
Exactly. It cuts through all the other stuff we worry about. Faced with mortality, what truly has value? How does that change your daily focus?
It changes everything.
Yeah.
So if that's the inevitable end, and our actions are what matter, how do our lives get shaped by those actions? Is there a framework for that?
Yes, the Pugala Sutta lays out what the teacher calls the 4 types of persons. It's a way of understanding how circumstances and actions interact to shape our path.
Okay, 4 types. What are they?
First is dark to dark. This is someone born into difficult circumstances, maybe poverty or low status, who then also acts unwholesomely, badly. Their path leads to further suffering. It's like going from darkness into deeper darkness.
Okay, that's grim. What's next?
Second is dark to light. Someone born into those same difficult circumstances, but who acts well. They practice virtue, kindness. Their path leads towards happiness, better circumstances. It's like climbing up from earth to a couch, to a horse's back, to an elephant's shoulder, eventually to a palace.
So circumstances don't have to define your trajectory if your actions are good.
Exactly. Third is light to dark. Someone born into fortunate circumstances, wealth, high status, but who acts badly. They misuse their advantages, act unethically. Their path leads downwards towards suffering. It's like falling from a palace down into darkness.
A cautionary tale for the privileged.
Definitely. And finally, fourth is light to light. Someone born into fortunate circumstances and who acts well. They use their advantages for good, practice virtue. Their path continues in favorable ways, leading to further happiness, like moving from one palace to another, essentially.
So the clear message is actions trump circumstances.
Absolutely. Your karma, your intentional actions are what fundamentally determine your experience and your future path, much more than where you started. It's a really clear ethical compass. Which path are you on? What actions are steering your course?
It really makes you examine your own choices.
Yeah.
Okay, building on that, how does this apply practically, like when it comes to giving or charity?
Good question. The Isatha Sutta, the Archer Sutta, gets right into that. King Pasenadi asks a very practical question. Where should I give gifts?
And the answer?
The teacher's first answer is simple. Wherever your mind feels pleased, wherever you feel inspired to give.
Okay, sounds straightforward.
But then the king asks a more specific question. Where do gifts yield the greatest fruit, the best result, the most benefit?
So not just where to give, but where does it have the most impact?
Exactly. And here the teacher makes a crucial distinction. Giving to virtuous people yields great fruit. Giving to the unvirtuous, not so much.
So the quality of the recipient matters.
Immensely. He uses another great analogy. Imagine a king getting ready for battle. Who does he want in his army? An unskilled, maybe cowardly warrior who happens to come from a noble family. Or a highly skilled, brave, effective warrior, regardless of their social background.
The skilled warrior, obviously. You want someone who can actually fight.
Right. It's about competence and quality. Similarly, gifts bear the most fruit when given to those who are skilled in a spiritual sense. People who have worked on themselves, who have abandoned the 5 hindrances, those mental blocks like sensual desire, ill will, laziness, restlessness, doubt.
The things that cloud the mind.
Yes, and who are instead endowed with positive qualities like strong morality, concentration, wisdom, liberation, and the knowledge of that liberation. Giving to such people is like investing in fertile ground. The results are far greater.
That really challenges how we might think about giving. It's not just about the act itself, but about discerning where it will do the most good, where it supports genuine virtue.
It encourages mindful, impactful giving rather than just, random generosity.
Right. Right. So as we bring this incredible deep dive toward a close, what are the big overarching principles that seem to tie all this wisdom together, if you had to boil it down?
The teacher really emphasizes two things towards the end of these collections of dialogues: heedfulness and good friendship.
Heedfulness. What does that mean exactly?
Appamada in the Pali language. It's about being mindful, diligent, careful, not complacent in everything you do. In the Appamada Sutta, the teacher says heedfulness is the one quality that secures both present and future well-being.
The one quality, that's a big claim.
It is. He compares it to an elephant's footprint. Just like the elephant's footprint is the largest and contains the prints of all smaller animals, heedfulness contains all other wholesome qualities. A heedful king, for example, influences everyone around him, his household, his ministers, his army, the whole population to also be heedful. This protects everyone, including the king's own safety and treasury. It's about constant vigilance towards the good.
Wow. So it's the foundation. What about good friendship?
Kalyamattata. This one is maybe even more striking. In the Kalyamatta Sutta, the teacher says good friendship isn't just part of the spiritual path, it's the entirety of the holy life.
The entirety. Not just half or important, but the whole thing.
The whole thing. Because, he explains, it's through having good friends, wise, virtuous companions and mentors that you learn, cultivate, and perfect the noble eightfold path. The path of ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. Good friends guide you, support you, inspire you.
So the people you surround yourself with are absolutely crucial.
Fundamentally crucial. The teacher even uses himself as the ultimate example. It's through his good friendship, his guidance, that beings can find liberation from the whole cycle of suffering, birth, aging, sickness, death, sorrow. So these two, constant heedfulness in your own actions and cultivating connections with good, wise friends, are presented as the bedrock for real transformation.
It really makes you think, how could you, listening now, make heedfulness and good company more central in your own life? What an incredible journey we've taken today, diving into these ancient yet amazingly relevant dialogues between King Pasenadi and the enlightened teacher. We started with the king being skeptical about the teacher's youth.
And ended up exploring the real nature of wealth, the complexities of relationships, the inescapable power of karma, and that ultimate truth of impermanence, of aging and death.
Yeah, and the constant thread seems to be that it's our inner states, our ethical actions, body, speech, mind, that truly shape our lives and destiny, much more than external factors like status or riches.
Exactly. The key themes kept coming back. The importance of ethical conduct, the fact that external things don't last, the power of compassion and wisdom, and how vital heedfulness and good company are for genuine well-being.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final thought for you to ponder, drawn straight from this ancient wisdom. If all the external stuff, battles won, wealth gained, power held, ultimately fades before aging and death, and if only our actions truly follow us, what's the one thing you could cultivate, starting today, that would genuinely secure your well-being both right now and whatever unseen future lies ahead?